Here's the 8-way story in a nutshell. This is not an in-depth look at the 8 ways. We're just going to quickly run through it. So first, you have overproduction. You either bought too many things or you made too many things. This doesn't mean you're not going to sell them all. It means you made more than what's necessary for the next step. Process A made more than process B needed. Well, because you made more than that, you had to transport it. Transportation is when the items moves. There's the boxes are on a cart, they're transporting it. You made too much, so then you have to move it somewhere, then you have to store it somewhere, now you have inventory. Well, you could have defects inside of that inventory. If you do have defects, then you have to over-process to fix those defects, right? You have to go, maybe you have to start at the beginning, you have to do rework. Even if you didn't have any defects, you just had over-processing because you have inventory, you then have to count it, you have to manage it, you need to make sure it doesn't get wet, you need to make sure it's not in the way. So you have over-processing just because you have it. Then with all of these wastes, you have motion. A human being had to do these things, and that human being had to move. Within that, you had waiting. Who was waiting? Internal and external customers. What's an internal customer? An internal customer is the next step, right? Step B is waiting on step A, and step C is waiting on step B, and so on and so forth. Your end customers are waiting the most. And the last thing is wasted employee genius. Rather than take the time to develop your employees, you're asking them to do dumb work, so all of these wastes occur because the company didn't understand that training your employees is the best thing to do. Everything in this building right here has already been sold. Overproduction does not mean the customer ordered 50 and you made 150. That is a form of it, but it means that process A made it before process B could handle it. I'm going to use the 8-way story to kind of go over everything here really quickly. So first off, the vinyl is cut here and then it's moved to this table here on rolly carts, and then it's moved to the sewing department. So first off, they cut more than the sewing department can handle, so they have all these carts stacked up. Some of these are 7 days to 15 days old. So they cut it, they made too much, the sewing department can't handle it immediately, so they transported it, right? They transported it over here. After that, there's now an inventory of the parts. Well, there's an inventory of those parts, and they could get damaged, they could get dirty. This is not a very good roof. The roof could leak on it. If that were to happen, it could cause defects. If defects were to be found in there, then we have to go through over-processing to fix those defects. What if these are all wrong? We don't know until we sew them up. So this could have been sitting here for a week and then go to get sewn up and oh, they're all too small. All right, so within all of that, there's also motion here. So you have motion, and that's the people physically walking back and forth. Amongst that, they have processes that are waiting. Look at this room. There's only 7 or 8 people in this room. Everything's waiting. This vinyl's waiting to go on here to be cut. This vinyl's waiting to go into the sewing room. After the sewing room, they have a bunch of tarps and stuff waiting to get upholstered. Every process is waiting on every process before them. And then the last thing is wasted employee genius. Each of the 7 people here in this gigantic room are working over all of this distance and having to walk all of the distance, and they're more than happy to do it, but it's unnecessary. It's a shame that we are asking them to do that.